in Accra. My name is Nanatufo Boate. Coming up. Pensioner Bondholders Forum calls on the government to borrow from the Treasury bills market to settle all the outstanding coupons and principals on their bonds.
Government can borrow from the Treasury bill market and pay us. You see, you are faced with a condition where you have to do that.
So coming up, court in Ashanti region remands 35 toddler.
Omram na baadwo wanya na dwuma ye this problem we nyina ye den ababia na sotwe ye den komasa nipa.
Still to come, Ghana Psychological Association partly attributes recent killings reported in parts of the country to the current economic challenges.
Once the economic conditions go up, definitely it affects how we all think, how we all behave in one way or the other.
And later, Ada Traditional Council warns against political party activists' involvement in the Ada Songo Salt concession and its related matters.
We therefore use this opportunity to warn all political parties, especially NDC and MPP, to stay clear of Ada Songo Lagoon development for us to achieve this massive.
Well, the show is interactive, and so we'd like to hear from you. Join us via WhatsApp or watch us live on YouTube via CityTube. We're also on Facebook and Twitter as well. Let us know what you think about the stories that we will be bringing you on the show. With me in studio is Hansen Ajiman. Good morning, my brother.
Good morning.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. Hope you're doing well.
I'm great. I don't know about the general economy of the
Media is no good.
Not at all.
At all. Not
Well,
at all.
On that score, let's take you to the finance ministry, where the pensioners who hold government bonds, who fought for their exemption, have returned to picket because their coupons and, of course, principals on their bonds are not being paid.
Pensioner Bondholder Forum wants government to borrow from the Treasury bill market to settle all the outstanding coupons and principals on their bonds. Government has failed to pay 19 coupons and 3 principals since February after granting the pensioners exemption from the domestic debt exchange program. Now, the group has thus returned to picketing at the premises of the Finance Ministry, demanding the payment of their bonds. Charles Owusu-Kumi covered the event for us today and now joins us with a report.
Right, Frema. So for about 2 weeks in February, a group called the Pensioner Bondholders Forum, a group comprising retirees with various investments in government bonds, picketed here at the Finance Ministry, that time to demand exemption from the government's domestic debt exchange program. So after several days of protest, Parliament intervened and the Finance Ministry finally granted that exemption to the group. Now, per practice, is February. We spoke to some of the retirees this morning when they came picketing once again. By practice, your money is supposed to be paid to you.
Exactly that. Once you're exempted, your money should be paid as and when due. But as and when due, nothing is coming and you're not hearing anything. That is the saddest part of it. You don't hear nothing.
How the government is not communicating anything to you?
It's saying nothing, so I don't understand where we are. I really don't understand. So we should be told something. In fact, legally, they shouldn't just default. They should just pay. And then, if you are not able to pay, then say something. I mean, say something that you think of human being. You don't know where I got my money from. Everybody here work for his money. Everybody here work for his money. I'll give you an example. To use it at this age.
If it is about land sale, compensation or whatever, we need not to will have something to live on after we have gone. So if we have taken such wise decision on the part of ourselves and our generations and our communities, why should we suffer for it? So that we took a decision to protect our people, and now we are suffering for it.
That I have to live on has been reduced drastically, because I made those investments with the intention that when I go on retirement, then I can supplement my SNAIT pension with that. But right now it's not coming, and it's adversely affecting my standard of living and my responsibilities to my family as well.
We're told that about 19 of the coupons and 3 principals are outstanding. So since February, you've not received anything at all?
Nothing at all. Nothing at all. I have a coupon due on 6 March and principal due. None has been paid.
There's been suggestions that government converts the principals of the convener for the Pensioner Bondholders Forum, if that group would consider that option.
No, we are not interested in that. That is being discussed with the self-exempted people. And I always tell you, there is vast difference between issuer exemption and self-exempted. The self-exempted people, if they are pleading to do that, well, but for us, we are going strictly by our bond condition. Pay us our coupons when due, pay us our principal when due. Government hasn't given us any proposal pleading that, can you allow me to do this? Not for pensioner bondholders. We are not part of that arrangement.
Dr. Duan Anyantwi is a former boss of the Securities and Exchange Commission, so he is well versed in the financial market, and he suggested some ways government can find money to pay the principals and coupons of the pensioners. He thinks government can borrow money from the Treasury bill market. How do you propose that government find the money to pay you?
Well, I've said that government can borrow from the Treasury bill market and pay us. You see,
agent officials from the ministry. So Dr. Dianani gave me an example of what used to be done in the village, and that if you owed somebody, the person's last resort would be to pick up their beds and come and actually stay with you in your house. So that's literally what they are doing here. It is they're employing a village wisdom to sort of make the ministry an uncomfortable place for the minister and his officers, so that they can do something about
their monies will hit the accounts, because clearly this is not a good sight, seeing our fathers, our grandfathers, our grandmothers out there in the sun picketing for monies owed them. But thank you very much, Charles Owusu-Kumi there. He's with us here at City FM, City TV, and of course bringing us up to speed with what's happening at the premises of the Finance Ministry with respect to the Pensioner Bondholders Forum, who are picketing in demand of payment on their matured coupons and principals on their bonds. Hansen.
I mean, it's a sad one, very disturbing situation that the pensioners will have to go back onto the streets, and I think that the government has not treated them well, and to a large extent and to an extension, even some of the persons and bodies that have participated in the domestic debt exchange. I think that government has not really been fair to them. I mean, talking about these pensioner bondholders, when they started advocating for exemption, what did we hear from government? That the DDEP in itself is voluntary, and if you choose not to be part of it, then your bonds will be paid for you. The pensioner bondholders indicated that no, we don't want a situation where we will say we are voluntarily exempted, but then that means when we voluntarily exempt, then we are making ourselves available to any consequences, to say that government said this is the best option, I can only pay you, say, in 2028, and you say no, still pay me in 2023. And then what happens is that if the government doesn't get money to pay you in 2023, government will say, I said I can only pay you in 2028. You insisted that you want me to pay in 2023. So that will be on the bondholders, on the pensioners. Now, here's the case. They have advocated, they've made government see reason why they should exempt. The government say, we've looked at our books, we looked at our finances, we think we can't exempt you, and we can't meet our obligations and demands to you. Now, when all these advocacies were ongoing, we saw the banter that happened between private legal practitioner Gabi Ochredakon and former Chief Justice. And essentially, the point Gabi was making at the point was that he struggled to see why the former CJ would be emotional about something that you are at liberty not to sign. I mean, that was the whole banter about. And here's the case that even when government has exempted them, government is not paying to them. And it's very disturbing. And I've always maintained when this DDEP happened that it's a necessary evil that we have to do to recover our economy. I don't think there's a single Ghanaian who likes what we are going through and will not be excited when we're able to turn things around. But to be able to do this, we need the effort of everybody. And I indicated that goodwill and transparency and some sacrifice on the part of government will bring that sort of support. I mean, go to the banking sector, even away from these pensioners. If you go to some banks and you have investments there, and you are going to try not to even liquidate your account, but to withdraw some amount of money. For some banks, they are telling you that you need a minimum of 2 months. I mean, look at the situation. You have a problem. You know that you have money at Bank A or investment firm B. Now you go there, I need the money to settle to some issues next week. They are telling you that you have to wait for a minimum of 2 months. Even that, you are not certain that you're going to get it. I mean, there are people who said they, as far back as February, liquidated their account, and we are in May. They've not received their monies yet. And then you ask the question, what happened to the financial sector, the Ghana Financial Stability Fund that government said was going to institute to make sure that there's some form of liquidity within the system? After they got their domestic debt exchange, after people subscribed to it, I don't know, but I've not heard more from official quarters on what has become of the domestic measure and what has become of liquidity within the system. Perhaps things may be happening behind closed doors. However, we've not seen that level of transparency and fairness from government. And this is not how a government treats its citizens. And we need to say it as it is.
Well said. I mean, I like the approach of Dr. Duan Anientwi to this. He's not only, I mean, it's his money, of course, he's owed it, but he's come with a proposal, a solution to the problem. And I think government really needs to sit with the pensioners and all bondholders.
Frankly speaking, I think this conversation about sit down, and when this started, when they first started the joint committee, I questioned Martin Pebu, are you certain that you really want to sit down with government? I think that anybody who is advocating for his money should go and say, I need money.
But then the honest truth then also is that we are having challenges. We are having challenges.
That's understandable. We are having challenges. But you cannot in any way deprive the citizen of what he owns. I mean, they're not asking for favors from government.
Clearly, and that's why I think government needs to engage more.
Now, I'm saying that this engagement that we've had,
we've gone past the engagement stage.
There's no engagement. Government
so pay us our
has
money.
to act and pay.
Pay us our
There's
money.
no engagement. I mean, there was a joint committee.
Yeah, the technical
committee. They came up with revenue cutting measures.
Yeah.
Go back to that document and pull it and see how many of those recommendations government is implemented.
Then that's where the challenge or what the real problem is. And as we are hearing from pensioner bondholders, clearly individual bondholders will also rise up pretty shortly. Well, let's move on. And the Trades Union Congress, the TUC, they have announced or their intent to support a demonstration for the reinstatement of some 3 workers of Sunon Asogli Power Company.
Now, the Trades Union Congress, TUC, has reiterated its decision to embark on a protest on Tuesday, May 9, 2023, at Bong, where Sunon Asogli Ghana Limited operates. The protest is in solidarity with the Ghana Mine Workers Union's demand for the immediate reinstatement of 3 of their local union leaders whose appointments have been terminated by Sunon Asogli Ghana Limited. The following report has more.
Colleagues, nobody will do it for us. We must do it for ourselves. Yes. Choboy, nobody will do this for us. We must do it ourselves. Choboy, Choboy, Choboy. Colleagues, we know you. We know what we can do. Yes. We are miners and we must demonstrate to the whole nation that we cannot be taken for granted.
It's not overdue. The clarion call by the Ghana Mine Workers Union of TUC is on the back of their demand for the reinstatement of 3 of their local union executives who happen to be workers of Sunon Asogli. The union, which is under the Trades Union Congress, has been agitating for months following the dismissal of their local leaders by Sunon Asogli. According to the union, the reason for their dismissal was because they joined the Ghana Mine Workers Union, but the company has refuted such claims. The company explains it is not against unionization. Addressing the media during an emergency National Executive Council meeting on the matter, the Secretary General of TUC, Dr. Yauban, says efforts to get Sunon Asogli to reinstate the workers have proved futile, hence their resort to protest on Tuesday, May 8, 2023.
The time for meetings is over. It is time to act now. Comrades, our demand is very, very, very simple. Our 3 brothers should be reinstated now. They have done nothing wrong. The way forward is very clear. Tomorrow, we are all marching on Sunon Asogli at home. Not only my workers union and you here, all the affiliates of TUC. Our brothers and sisters in Tema are joining us. Our sisters and brothers in Accra are joining us. And we want the whole...
Well, that demonstration is currently ongoing at Bong, and City News' Kennedy Chumesi is there, and he's joining us live with updates from that demonstration. Many thanks for your time, Kennedy. When does this protest start, and how far has it traveled? Hello, Kennedy.
Demand is very simple. Our
Hello,
demand
Kennedy.
is very, very simple.
Well, we're still working the lines to get Kennedy Chumesi to join us with the feed from that protest. But really, the demands by the TUC is quite simple. Reinstate our members. But my only concern is whatever it is that they are being accused of, for which they received or their appointments were terminated. They did breach company protocols. They did breach the standard procedure, operating procedure of the company. Has the NLC been engaged in this to help bring or settle this matter amicably? Do we have to see the TUC in its magnanimity, demonstrating to have these leaders reinstated by CNR Asogli?
I mean, the issue, it's, I don't think it's quite complicated. Has to do with a fundamental right that workers and all Ghanaians can enjoy, which is the right to freedom.
Yeah.
I mean, they have the right to join
freedom of association.
Freedom of association. And they had decided to join the Ghana Mines Workers Union, which was part of the Trade Unions Congress. I mean, CNR Asogli had given a statement on this particular matter, refuting that they in no way had issues with the leaders joining the Ghana Mines Workers Union, but they raised issues about the approach in which they joined and the sort of rights that the Ghana Mines Workers Union were seeking to exercise in terms of some negotiations. And I think that, I mean, this is a matter that can be rectified as soon as possible.
Clearly.
I mean, we do not need this sort of confusion and controversies within the labor space if these issues can be adequately addressed without necessarily affecting anybody. I mean, if the workers have not gone through the appropriate processes of joining a particular labor union, I'm sure if it is brought to the attention of the workers and genuinely that is the situation, this is a matter that can be addressed without the protests that we are seeing in Tema today, and so that it doesn't even end up and leading into strikes. And I mean, you know, the importance of CNR Asogli power plant to our energy sector.
Right. I want to believe Kennedy Chumesi is on the lines now. He's joining us live from Bon, where that demonstration is currently happening. Kennedy, earlier was asking how long the protest has been and how far it has traveled, and then if you can give us some of the highlights so far.
Yeah, so Nana to 4, it began around 10 a.m. They converged at the Pom here at Tema, and they moved all the way to the CNR Asogli Company Limited, but they are not being allowed to enter the premises. So if you can see in your shot, there are barricades preventing the protesters from making further movement into the company. Their message is very clear. They want the reinstatement of 3 of their local union executives who are paying to be workers of the CNR Asogli Company. They are according to the union basis for the 3 workers is become a union called the Workers Union. This union, the trades union. So the protest here basically is to demand the reinstatement of the dismissed these 3 local union executives of the Ghana Mine Workers Union Association. So the Trade Union Congress, which is the mother of all the unions, has the Ghana Mine Workers Unions inclusive. So the 28 affiliates of TUC are here to solidarize with the Ghana Mine Workers Union to protest and demand the reinstatement of these workers who have been dismissed. But in a press statement, the CNR Asogli Power Limited has indicated that they are not against unionization, and the basis for their dismissal is that their activities, the union's activities in the company, it's unlawful. Their operations are unlawful. For example, they held an illegal picketing at the premises of the company, which contravenes the regulations of the company. And even they are questioning the comes of the union in the first
right. Now, Kennedy, we see in the shot there what appears to be some sort of an address. Tell us about that. Who is addressing the protesters now? And what are some of the things the person has been saying?
Yeah, so the person addressing the protesters is the General Secretary of the Ghana Mine Workers Union in the person of Abdul Mumin Bana. He's the of the union, and basically his message is clear, and he's reiterating that Son Asogli Power Limited must reinstate the 3 dismissed workers because they've done nothing wrong. According to them, their only offense is to be part of Ghana Mine Workers Union under the Trades Union Congress. So basically, their demand is that government must intervene, and then the Power Limited must reinstate the workers. You can see, I can see the Dr. Yao Ba, and then some other people here.
Live pictures from Kong, where the Trades Union Congress and all its 20 affiliates are solidarity with the Ghana Mine Workers Union in a protest there to demand the reinstatement of some 3 leaders of the Ghana Mine Workers Union whose appointments have been terminated by Sunon Asogli. So let's listen in a little to the messages that are being delivered, and then we can come back in studio for a conversation.
We are not going to sit until they call 3 of our guys back to work. And for that matter, we'll ask all of us to go back to where we came from, so that if there's anything that we have to do, it will be done at that place. Thank you very much.
Kennedy, so I mean, those were some addresses that were delivered. We saw Dr. Yao Ba, also the Secretary General of the TUC. Now, they've made their demands clear. This has been an issue spanning the past 3 or 4 weeks or so. The demands have been spelled out clearly. But what next? Today, they've carried out their threat to demonstrate. But what next after the demonstration? Did they suggest any plans going forward?
Yeah, so earlier, the General Secretary of the Ghana Mine Workers Union, which is another trades union Congress, Abdul Mumin Bana, indicated that they will be holding series of demonstrations, and then even they threaten an industrial action if governments do not come in to intervene for these 3 dismissed workers to be reinstated by Sunon Asogli Power Limited. These have been their demands and their threats, and we are hoping that their demands will be met not to fall.
Right, you know, the demonstration almost about ending, as we can see from the videos or the live feed. They were not allowed into the premises of the company, but did any official of the company come out to receive them and to hear them out?
No one have started. I can't confirm. There's not been anyone from the Sunon Asogli Power Limited to speak to them on their behalf. The police house and entry to where the barricades have been placed. I do not know who is coming in, but as I speak to you now, I can't see anyone from the Sunon Asogli Power Limited coming towards him. But he's having a conversation with the police officials, but we do not know exactly what the conversation is with the police official. But we are hopeful that maybe an official from Sunon Asogli Power Limited and then try and have a conversation Dr. Alban, who is the Secretary General of the Trades Union Congress.
Right. Well, was that part of the plan to be able to engage leadership or management of CNR Extra after marching to the company? Because I want to believe that if this had been communicated earlier, then obviously management would have delegated a team to receive the TUC.
Clearly, as it's been for so many demonstrations, when they picket, someone from the person that they are picketing against comes in and then try and have a conversation with them. But with this exactly, it's clear that I do not know if they had a conversation with the company that they'll be picketing today, and they would want someone from the company to try and come in and then have a conversation with them. But it's from the shots, it's clear that no one from CNR Extra Company Limited is coming in to speak to them. So you can see, I can see Dr. Alban moving away from the barricades, and from protesters clearly happy. Even an official do not try to speak to them, and basically this has been a situation here. They were hoping that someone may come, but I do not know if they made arrangements for to officially engage the company that will be picketing today. So as we speak, from the company has come in to speak to them, and from the shots they are all moving back. The police is ensuring law and order here, and chaos so far. And the Dr. Alba is trying to reconvene his people to move back, and maybe there might be a situation with the police officially. Basically, in order for this has been a situation.
Right, thank you very much. Kennedy Chumesi is there. He's here with us, City TV, City FM, and of course bringing us live pictures from that demonstration under the mother body of all trades unions in the country. That's the TUC, heading this one, of course, in support of the Ghana Mine Workers Union, demanding the reinstatement of 3 leaders of the Ghana Mine Workers Union, whose contracts or appointments with the CNR Extra Power Company Limited have been terminated. Clearly, strong stances there. The unions insist that their members be reinstated. Company insists that company rules or protocols were breached, for which reasons appointments should be terminated. Clearly, there's a need for a Giorgio.
I mean, it looks like all parties are on extreme positions. And earlier I was talking about the importance of CNR Extra Power Limited to our energy sector. I mean, one of the earliest of the independent power producers that arrived in the country. I mean, and if you know how the era of doomsaw and how these independent power producers have come to help, it's only instructive that all stakeholders be interested in getting an amicable solution. And I think that it will rest on the National Labour Commission to make sure that, looking at the extreme
entrenched
positions that have been taken by both parties. We know that the matter is with the NLC. They asked the parties to file some processes and also to have some negotiations, but I think they'll have to insist on their power at this moment and bring a solution to it.
Right, and it's important that they add some urgency to this matter, because we've had a series of actions that the unions have announced to drum home their demand and to get their concerns addressed. Hopefully this is expedited and some calm returns to the labor front. You're watching CNR Extra here on City TV. Still ahead. Court in Ashanti region remands a 35-year-old man into prison custody for allegedly butchering a toddler. We'll be right back with the details. Do stay.
Sweet, sweet mothers, how could we ever forget you? This year, on Mother's Day, we plan to do quite the festive opposite. What better way to show out for our beloved matriarchs than an entire evening dedicated to celebrating the phenomenon that is motherhood. Mama's boys and mama's girls, for all their love and sacrifices, here comes the ultimate Mother's Day gift. Picture this: a flavorous Ghanaian spread with countless mouth-watering treats, just like Mama's cooking. A glitzy dance floor serenaded by Mama's favorite tunes, just for Mama to boogie. And a stunningly intricate portrait of Mama, just to remind Mama how truly beautiful she is. Join us on Sunday, the 14th of May 2023 at 4 p.m. for an enchanting evening of appreciation and enjoyment for our feminine support systems. The venue is at the City Gardens, number 5, Ola Hansen Lane, Tesano, and the rate is a cool 350 Ghana cedis. It's going to be an evening of Ghanaian food, dance, and the celebration of motherhood. So book now and secure a seat for Mama at the A Portrait of Mama Mother's Day dinner now. For more enquiries, call 020 5973973. The Portrait of Mama Mother's Day dinner is powered by City TV with support from City FM and is sponsored by Dano Milk and Tasty Tom.
Welcome back. Many thanks for staying with us. Let's take you to the Ashanti region where the Kropong District Court has remanded a gentleman who allegedly butchered a toddler.
Where the Kropong District Court has remanded 35-year-old Emmanuel Ajay into prison custody for allegedly butchering a toddler. The suspect also allegedly inflicted machete wounds on the deceased father and sister, who are currently in critical condition and are receiving treatment at the hospital. The family of the victims wants the police and all relevant authorities to ensure justice is served in the matter. Our Ashanti regional correspondent Fatih Aminu Ibrahim reports.
Eyewitnesses say the landlord's son had a misunderstanding with a tenant over the payment of rent on Friday, 5th May 2023, and in the process attacked the tenant. The eyewitnesses narrate that Emmanuel Ajay, who was wielding a machete, attacked the tenant who had picked up his son, a toddler, at the time. The suspect then allegedly butchered the toddler. The father also sustained life-threatening injuries as the suspect chopped some parts of his body parts off. The landlord's son then attacked another child of the tenant, who rushed to the scene. While the body of the toddler has been conveyed to the morgue, his father and sister, who have been critically injured, are receiving treatment at the Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital. According to the family of the victims, the suspect allegedly committed the act barely 2 days after returning from police custody after he was arrested for causing mayhem over the properties of his late father, the landlord. Mother of the deceased, Janet Ousua, who witnessed the incident, has been traumatized following the incident.
He said, "Yaudie nana, omudi. If it's a more bread, me kunu bread, me bear bread." And he said, "Aquani dear, wadimewu. Wadimewu pa, ya the pastors wadimewu pa. If they say me sumi ba na say me sumi kunu, me sumi mami enu na say me sumi kunu. Inti me de me jai ni nyina me erade na kasa na me re chechefro, erade na kasa chechere me re."
The grandfather of the deceased has also been speaking to City News.
In fact, at a TD, Nipafem, papa. The sons of young Kofa or Ben or Netomi. And no create a brand at the man yare home, a site. Yare hopa and say, so mamma, you and mammy, you know. And now, on Bema, and I want the Netomi. In fact, from a woman, not of an hoarding on a pump deal of form. Into 20 months survival free,
be 1 year. Omo dance da no. Na ma me kan say sene na wotini be hwe se e be san be mad na to. Am say rade nye. Na wo be men. Ne ho din. Me na me tu. Ba ko no we. Say omu hia so dem a no nkofo ka maji aso na boss because mo na sorry. Preocupanza brandi akodi e na wo de obedi bone a akwara we die na wanim. Den na waye. Den na kwara nim.
The head of the victim's family, Bernard Ibrahim, fears the deceased father, who is receiving treatment at the hospital, may not be able to live a normal life even if he survives. The family is fast calling on the Inspector General of Police and relevant stakeholders to ensure justice is served in the matter.
Na beduo wanya na dwuma ye this problem we nyina yeden ababia na asotwe ye den komasa nipa no asotwe komasa nipa no if you say ya okohu de we aminu ani si da ho no mo a no kure nyame me nyini se obetima ya dwuma biem kopim se bia de okay nyankopon de bibia nso ne ye de but the way a wasi aye no in fact asefim se bi wonye obi a wo ye wonu aye na dwuma hwe ne yire ne ne ma. This is condition of women see and I make us a yankopon de or no bibia into me nim se be a minion bit me out solid a bass will be yet in his up by year you must what be here and a ma. You see, I'm not bad in your bed bushing so. Inti Miss Rabine, any individual has to say, and what be on fees on bit me that woman as a situation or the woman be and Miss Rese or Momoa. Na IGP Misra IGP Misra regional minister omra sa asem mo na pepeli ye se boy no mo da mo na ni da ho ajapade no wo pe ajapade no wo pe no de ayesa ade nti o fe se o se wo maame ni o mo atifi o nyina emfiri ho e no de nti se wo ye sa ade wi ya na chese ne boy de ato ne yam ti wo mo dam because wo abodam a wo boa.
Police arrested the suspect on Saturday, a day after the incident, and was arraigned on Monday. Appearing before the Akropong District Court, the suspect was charged with murder and 2 counts of causing harm. The plea of the suspect was not taken. The police are conducting further investigations into the matter. The case has been adjourned to 22nd May 2023. For City News, Fatih Amin Ibrahim, Akropong.
Quite a sad one, rather unfortunate, and it looks as though we are recording one too many of such killings in recent times, and it's really worrying. I mean, it gets you wondering the states of mind people are in, and what extent people are willing to go to fight for whatever they think belongs to them.
I mean, this story is I don't want to say interesting, but if you want your dad to give you a property to oversee, what does that have to do? The dad,
we understand, is late. So he's trying to annex the properties to himself.
But what does that have to do with a tenant? Mm-hmm. A tenant who holds no rights or interest whatsoever in the property. And I mean, authorities will have to, because you see, when it comes to security issues, sometimes there's the part on maintenance of law and order where the police come in. Yeah. But in some of these situations, I mean, let's imagine, to what extent can the police solve? Yeah. Can the police prevent something like this? To what extent? These are people.
The police don't live in their homes.
These are people who live in the same community, in the same house, and so it becomes very disturbing if such crimes are of the rise. And I don't know how we can do it, but maybe we should go back to the basis about getting people to understand the consequences of their action. And that's why you have criminologists arguing that we need to make sure that our justice delivery is in such a way that perpetrators are punished so that people know that they are being punished. I mean, you kill somebody and the element of intent is proven, it becomes murder.
Yeah.
Your punishment is by death.
Death. Yeah.
And here's the case: for a very long time, we've had presidents who have not been able to sign the death penalty.
Yeah.
And so
it's not been carried out
so
over
it's not
the
being
years. Although
carried
people are
out
on death row.
So that's why there's a conversation for us to look at death sentence necessarily. If we should
Amnesty
still,
International is actually pushing for it to be abolished.
because you see, if people are given their sentence to be by death, and by human rights standards, and by how human we are, and the fact that the respective person, which is the president here, cannot sign the death sentence, at the end of the day, we are not really seeing the consequence of the actions, and so it may not be deterrent enough. And so I think that we should look at that conversation properly, and if we will find alternative punishments for actions like that to make it more deterrent, I think that will really help.
Which should be proportionate to the crime committed.
Certainly.
Right. Well, the Ghana Psychological Association is attributing the recent killings, because indeed we've seen a number of them. We've even seen a senior police officer take the life of a junior officer over some death or something like that. Well, the Ghana Psychological Association is attributing these recent killings to the current economic challenges in the country. From their argument, and it comes back to what I was saying earlier, that we need to do a proper reassessment of the states of minds of people. We need to understand the psychological challenges people are going through that is linked to the economic challenges.
But let's clarify, this is in no way a defense whatsoever
of
the actions of anybody, but it's an attempt to try and create an environment where we don't have some of these violent crimes.
Yeah.
And I think that we are people who do not take psychological issues seriously. I mean, immediately somebody says he or she has a mental issue, then the stigmatization begins. And so I agree with the Psychological Association that some of these things should be dealt with. Right. But it is no excuse whatsoever for you to engage in such an action.
Agreed. Let's take you to Ada, where there seems to be some trouble brewing with respect to salt mining in the area.
The Ada Traditional Council has sent a strong word of caution to political party activists, especially followers of the two major parties, the NPP and the NDC, to stay off the Ada Songo salt concession and its related matters. According to the Ada chiefs, some political party actors have over the years used influence peddling to instigate some indigents of Ada against private salt mining firm Electrochem Ghana Limited, a situation they decry has negatively affected their development. Fred Duho has more in the following report.
At a press conference addressed by the Mankralo of the Ada Traditional Council, Nene Obitre Agude III, he said series of stakeholder consultations have taken place, and at the tail end of the consensus building, some individuals broke ranks with agitations. The traditional leaders say they believe such acts are derailing the progress of their communities. According to the chiefs, salt mining activities by Electrochem Ghana Limited is expected to yield win-win benefits from the natural resource. The chiefs and people of Ada demonstrated their support for salt mining company Electrochem Ghana Limited in reaction to a protest by another faction that is opposed to the activities of the company. Addressing a press conference held at Ada in the Greater Accra region, Nene Obitre Agude III bemoaned the agitations of the opposing faction.
Electrochem Ghana Limited should allocate the local salt miners some areas, provide them with brine, and begin a price for the production of salt as obtained in the outgrowers arrangement. In that meeting, it was agreed that ASRA would send a proposal to EGL for consideration. To us at ATC, this was a big leap towards deepening local participation. Whilst we have been waiting for this outgrowers model to be actualized, we woke up to the news that our people have gone to Accra for demonstration, which in our view was needless. We have to put up with a position that the group is becoming ungovernable and the use of threats and defiance.
Well, any venture that will bring employment to an area, to the youth of an area, should be supported. But due diligence should be done. It should be devoid of all this politics, just as the chiefs are saying. And there should be enough transparency so that we don't have some of these agitations coming up.
I mean, natural resources should be harnessed for the development of communities.
Right.
And the residents in these communities should be able to benefit, and to a large extent, the country should be able to benefit. I mean, the Songo Lagoon, the potential for which it can produce salt, it's very huge. And we cannot allow issues like this to derail us from achieving the aim. Nevertheless, I think the concerns that are raised by what appears to be now two factions, very essential and relevant authorities, will have to make sure that their concerns are addressed.
All right. Clearly and very importantly, this issue should be addressed so that one, we have employment for the youth in the area, and of course, we are able to shore up the economy of the area. You never know, it could be opened up for other investments due to the resource in the area. Well, this has been our show for today, CNR Extra, which came to you live from our studios at number 5, Ola Hansen Lane, here at Tessano in Accra. I did this with Hansen Jiman. Always good to hear from you and to have you on the show.
You're welcome.
All right. Many thanks to you for watching, and of course, keep watching City TV.